طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم ارزقنا يا ربي فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم افتح علينا فتوح العارفين وفقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل واهدنا إلى سواء السبيل يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح علينا فتحا قريبا اللهم إنا نسألك العلم اللدني ومشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نويت تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم والدعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. Alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given us this opportunity to gather here on a Monday morning to study the Arabic language, the language of the Quran, the language spoken by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And inshallah ta'ala, we put in good intentions in our quest to learn, to acquire the ability to understand, to read, to speak in the Arabic language. We put in all good intentions, including connecting with the wahyu, the revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the words of his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And of course, as an extension to that, inshallah ta'ala, we'll also be able to read the books of our ulama. And there's something special about reading the books, even though there are translations available. When you read the books in the Arabic language, sometimes some things or some knowledge actually manifests itself, and it becomes more apparent in the Arabic language as opposed to reading it in any other language. Yeah, so it's actually a very important skill to acquire. And I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it, that it's not something that this language is not something that we grew up in. So we have to do a little bit of technical exercises, so it doesn't come just like that, because you don't live in an environment where people are actually speaking Arabic. So sometimes you have to do something more in order to internalize some of the meanings that we're trying to acquire and put into ourselves. For example, beyond just saying ana, nahnu, anta, huwa, it actually helps, when you are doing like signs, you do ishara, you do signals as you are talking, you say ana, anta, hiya, huwa. It actually helps you to remember and internalize better, So these are just things that we just have to do. So that means we just have to assert ourselves in some places, so that actually we acquire and internalize the Arabic language. Okay, so some of the exercises that I've given to you, the huwa, huma, hum, the pronouns that I asked you all to memorize, and the exercises that I said use your fingers, that is really, really helpful, and we dispense it to you because it is a tried and tested method. Really just doing like huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antuna, ana, nahnu, using your fingers. You do that, I don't know whether you can see that, huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antuna, ana, nahnu. When you do that, like your dhikr, it actually helps you to internalize some of these things. And these are things that actually we pick up from students who have gone through studies in the Arabic language in a non-Arabic speaking environment, like in Indonesia. They use this, and subhanallah, the Indonesians, they speak very good Arabic, so much so that, at one time I heard that things have changed, but at one time, in Darul Mustafa, there were no students who came in for Arabic immersion. That means all the Indonesian students, yeah, when they came into studies, for studies at Darul Mustafa, they all went straight into the halakas to study the Sharia. Yeah, so they were that good. So actually we dispense these things to you. Okay. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll resume our studies, and as usual, as we have done in previous weeks, we will start with our lessons in Sorf, okay, because this is really the foundation. And in our lessons in Sorf, inshallah ta'ala, I've thought about how to dispense some of these things to you. So we'll break it down. Okay, we'll break it down and we'll do things one thing at a time. Okay, so what? So the plan is, okay, so what we will do, inshallah. Okay. So what we will do, inshallah, is we will start with pronouns that are singular first. Okay, so I taken out the dual, I've taken out the jama', the plural, so that we can just focus on the singulars first. Okay, so I've actually come up with a new table, and inshallah ta'ala, I'll share the PDF with you so you can print it out, write it down, you know, and then you can verbalize it to help you to remember better, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so if you remember, you know what we did before this, okay?
Ustaz Afwan,
Yes.
actually on Notability kan, you can just add a page instead of using this free form app. I'm not sure if that
Yes.
would be.
Yeah, it's just that actually I can use Notability, but actually I find that this toggle is a little, so I can just toggle between this and this.
Oh, if that's you prefer lah, because actually on Notability you can add a page and then a blank page will come up.
Oh yeah, okay.
You can
Okay,
mark off that blank.
okay. I'm a bit of a tech dummy, so just let me go through this, and inshallah ta'ala, thank you. Everything that you all suggest, I do actually give it a try, and I do watch videos to try and make the lessons actually a little bit more, you know, to make myself tech savvy, and so that the lessons are a little bit more digestible also. Okay, I'll try that inshallah. Okay. The thing about trying whilst I'm doing, or maybe I can do it, yeah? So that means you're saying here, right?
Yeah, so on
So I
the
just add a page.
top right corner.
Top right corner. So
Yeah,
I'll just,
you see the three dots can?
yeah.
You can click on the three dots and say add page. Not this one.
It's okay. I think I can write on here. I can write here.
True.
Yeah, okay. I'll just write on this blank page, yeah? Okay, inshallah. But where's my page now? You see, this is what
Did you start a new note?
I did just now. So where was my, yeah, so yeah, that's why actually I am quite
You try going to recents?
okay, never mind. Let's just do this. Okay. Let's just do this. Okay, then let me try to write here. This thing is still here. Okay, can. Inshallah. Okay. Okay, Bismillah. So remember when we talked about the different parts of Arabic speech? Yeah, I said there are words that are categorized as isim. So those are nouns. Okay, the jama of it is asma. So isim is one. The jama of it is al-asma. Okay, and then there are those that are known as fa'al. Okay, the jama of it is af'al. Okay, and then there are those that are known as harf. Okay, al harf and sometimes we call them huruf, and sometimes we call them ahruf, okay, for different reasons. So let's just use huruf here, okay. This sounds like huruf in Malay, but sometimes we also call them ahruf, okay. So ala kulli hal, these are the different word forms. So what we are going to talk about today, as we have done in previous weeks, is that for the first part, we will focus on af'al, okay, on verbs, okay. So these are nouns, these are particles, okay. So verbs in the Arabic language, generally speaking, there are other forms, okay, but at the very basic level, we would say that there are two tenses in the Arabic and plus one more, okay. So they are al-madi, okay, sorry, this should be al-madi, okay, which is past tense, and then there are those that are known as al-mudari', and this is present tense, okay. And we have another type which is known as al-amr, which is the command form. Okay. So what we will talk about today is inshallah ta'ala al-madi and al-mudari'. And as we have demonstrated previously, each of these, okay, al-madi and al-mudari', they, when you use them, practically you have to tie them with the respective pronouns, you know, of the subject that you are speaking about or speaking to, you know. So we have 14 pronouns altogether: huwa, huma, hum, and so on and so forth until ana wa nahnu. Okay. So if you recall, you know, there are those that are in the form that we say, we call it al-ghaib. Okay. So this would be third person, okay, pronouns. So like him, he, they. So these are not people who are actually present speaking to you in the conversation. And then there are second person pronouns, okay. We call this al-mukhatab, okay, al-mukhatab, okay, like anta meaning you, anti meaning you for a female, antum meaning you in jamak form, okay. And then, so these are second persons, these are second person pronouns. And then there are those that are known as al-mutakallim, okay, and these are first person pronouns, okay. So I'm referring to myself, you know. And for each of these, I mentioned that you will find that there are those that relate to masculine pronouns, so the mudhakkar, and there are those that relates to the feminine, okay. So like the mu'annath, okay, we call them the mu'annath, okay. So for each of these, okay, oh, this is why I use free form, because I can slide it to the left and then get more width on the other side, okay. So anyway, for each of these, you will find that for the mudhakkar, we have for singular, for dual, and for plural, okay. So likewise for the mu'annath, and we do the same exercise for the mukhatab as well. And that is how we get the 14 pronouns in the Arabic language, okay. So now, today, we are just going to simplify this. So I just want you to hold that thought about the dual, about the plural, and just focus on the singular. We will just discuss the singular and how we would transform each verb for use in speaking about the singular for the ghaib, okay, for the ghaib and the mukhatab. But for the mutakallim, inshallah ta'ala, we will discuss both, okay, singular and plural, ana and nahnu. Okay, type. So, if you recall also, you know, we spoke about the fi'l, and the fi'l can come in many different forms, okay? And at the very basic level, we call this fi'l that is not expanded upon, in its most simplest form, we call this fi'al ath-thulathi. That means ath-thulathi. Okay, why? Okay, because thalatha actually means 3. Okay, so when we say ath-thulathi, we mean that these are verbs that have 3-letter roots. Okay, so the fa, the ain, and the lam. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So we call them thulathi. Okay, the 3-ish. Okay, so the 3-ish. Okay, verbs. So with this thulathi, they may come at the very basic form in any of these forms. Okay, so you can express it first as fa'ala, you can express it as fa'ula, or you can express it as fa'ila. And when I say that you can express it as fa'ala, fa'ula, or fa'ila, it doesn't mean that you have a choice. It just means that the words in Arabic, they will fit in to one of these 3 templates for the madi. Okay, so for example, the Arabic word for go, dhahaba, going somewhere. Okay, so dhahaba means he went. Okay, so it fits into this form. Whereas the Arabic word for growing up, for becoming big, someone who grows up in a place, like my children, they grew up in Tarim. So you would say kabura fi Tarim. So kabura, he grew up in Tarim. Okay, so it fits into this particular template. Okay, and there are those also that fit into this template, like the Arabic word for he knows. Okay, alima, so it fits into this template. So we only know this, okay, because these are things that we call sima'i. Okay, that means this is a sin, by the way. So when we write a long line like that, it is a sin. Okay, so this is a short form. Okay, so these are sima'i, meaning that these are things that we hear. Okay, so hearing-ish things. Okay, so that means we heard it from an Arab. That was how they express themselves, and that is the standard that we should be applying. Okay, when we're talking about standard Arabic. Right? So we're not going to talk about these today. Again, we're just going to focus on this one form, which is fa'ala, and this is the most common form. Okay, so fa'ala for the madi, when it comes in this form, the mudari may take any one of these 3 forms. Okay, for example, it can take the form yaf'alu, or it can take the form yaf'ulu, or it can take the form yaf'ilu. Okay, so the only thing that differs is the shakal. Shakal is the shape, yeah, but here we mean the sign. Okay, the tanda atas, tanda bawah, as the Malays would say it. Okay, so the sign that relates to the ainul fi'al. So remember, because this is how we would express verbs. Okay, in fi'al, so it comes with fa, ain, and lam. So when we say ainul fi'al, we are referring to the middle letter. Okay, in the thulathi. Okay, so when we transform it, and then, by the way, the subject or the subject that we are studying, yeah, is called saraf. Okay, and saraf actually means to change. Okay, or to morph. Okay, so we have to change the this is what we are learning here is how to change words, okay, from their original, their root, into different forms. So at the very basic level, now that we've learned about the madi, okay, how do we transform it into the mudari, into present tense form? Okay, so even though the madi, they will come in the form of fa'ala, the mudari, they can take any of these three forms. Okay, they can take any of these three forms, and we only know this because this is something that was heard from the classical Arabs, and this is eloquent Arabic, you know, so you have to actually pronounce it in that manner. Okay, so for certain words, they will fit into a template. Okay, so let's say we call this a template. Okay, let's just use a different color. Okay, so let's say this is a template. So this is one template. Okay, so there are words that fit into this template. For example, this word called dhahaba. Okay, which means to go. So you would always say dhahaba yadhabu, and you would never say dhahaba yadhubu or dhahaba yadhibu, because that is incorrect Arabic. Okay, the template just works like that, and the whole purpose of me going through this exercise with you is to tell you that when we find the template, we have to fit it into the template, and then when we do the morphing, so when we do the saraf, for all the other pronouns, it will have to follow a build-up that is based on that basic template. Okay, so this is one, and the other template is this one called fa'ala yaf'ulu. So whenever we use a verb that fits into this template, we have to use this template, and whatever pronouns we use thereafter. So if we are talking about 2 people or 3 people, we will just have to fit it into this template and build upon it. Okay, so over time, yeah, you will be able to do some things instinctively, but inshallah ta'ala will show you the step-by-step way on how to get there. Okay, and then the last template is this one. Okay, and we call this fa'ila yaf'ilu, and there are words that fit into this. For example, this word that I've used here, that I've shown you here, alima. So alima, sorry, alima is not this. So sorry. So this is I jumped the gun a bit. Sorry, this is sorry, let's just reverse that. Okay, so I put this here, but this is wrong. Okay, we are just talking about this. Sorry, I jumped the gun a bit. Okay, so dhahaba yaf'alu. The second one would be dhahaba yaf'ulu. Sorry. Okay, so just reverse that. The first form is dhahaba fa'ala yaf'alu, which the verb dhahaba yadhabu fits into. The second one is fa'ala yaf'ulu. Okay, so sorry. This is the second one. Okay, so this is the correct one. The second one is dhahaba, fa'ala yaf'ulu. Okay, fa'ala yaf'ulu. For example, the Arabic word for writing. Okay, which is kataba. Kataba. So how would you say kataba means he wrote? So how would you say he writes? You have to fit it into this template. Okay, so you have to say kataba yaktubu. Okay, kataba yaktubu. Right? So it fits into the second template. And then the third template would be, okay, yeah, I wrote so many things that I missed that just now. Okay, so the third template would be fa'ala yaf'ilu. Okay, fa'ala yaf'ilu, like the word jalasa, which means he sat. So to say he sits, you would say yajlisu. You have to fit it into this template. Okay, so this is the meaning of the whole exercise that we are going through. So we'll round that up again. So for the thulathi that comes, okay, the thulathi where the madi comes in the form fa'ala, okay, it can take the form fa'ala yaf'alu. This is the first form. Or it can take the form fa'ala yaf'ulu, or it can take the form fa'ala yaf'ilu. We only know how to fit it in or where to fit it in according to what we call sima'i. That means these are things that we heard and we learn from the Arabs, and then we canonize it, we put it into a template, and then we tell you that every time you use these words, you have to put it into this template, okay? So the example for the first form that we talked about, fa'ala yaf'alu, would be dhahaba yadhabu, which means he went or he goes, okay? The word that fits into, so this is just an example, the second template, fa'ala yaf'ulu, would be something like kataba yaktubu, which means he wrote or he writes, okay? And the word that fits into the third template that we've written here is jalasa yajlisu. So for fa'ala yaf'ilu, the example of it would be jalasa yajlisu, which means he sat or he sits, okay, in the present tense. Right. So now that we know that, okay, so inshallah ta'ala, we'll do an exercise where, as I've mentioned, we've just limited it to the singular pronouns with the exception of the mutakallim. Okay, so these are the singular pronouns relating to the ghaib. These are the singular pronouns that relates to the muhatab. And these are the mutakallim, and there are no others, okay, for the mutakallim. So this is, these are, okay, pronouns that you use speaking about the third person. So these are third person pronouns, these are second person pronouns, and these are first person pronouns. So that means in the speaker's voice, okay? So now let's just take one example. Like, for example, this word here, okay, dhahaba. So how do I fit it in? If I want to say he went, I would have said, like I mentioned just now, dhahaba. Okay, but if I want to use the present tense, then I would say yadhabu. Okay, I would say yadhabu. So this is how I would express any word, you know, and when talking about a fi'l, any fi'l, if I want to express it to you and I want to tell you what it is, I would say that this is from dhahaba yadhabu. So the dhahab, going somewhere, okay, that is a verbal noun. I would say that the origins of it is dhahaba yadhabu. That is always how we express ourselves, okay? So when we talk about the roots, we are referring to the singular, okay, the masculine, and in the third person voice, okay, singular, masculine, in the using a third person pronoun, okay? So we would say dhahaba yadhabu. So everything else is built up from that, okay? So for example, if I want to say now, I'm not talking about Ali, but I'm talking about Zainab, okay? So I want to say that Zainab went somewhere. How would I say it? So this is how I would say it, okay? I would say, instead of dhahaba, I would say dhahabat. Okay, so when I say dhahabat Zainabun, sorry, dhahabat Zainabu ila suki, it means Zainab went to the market. Okay, so that's how I would say it. Okay, so this is when we want to say she. Okay, so she went, it would be dhahabat. When I want to say she goes, I would say it like this. Okay, tadhabu. Okay, so because this fits into the template number 1, so we know that the ainul fi'al is always, okay, it will always come in maftuh form. So that means it will always come with a fathah. Okay, so we wouldn't say for a she, we cannot say, okay, she goes somewhere, for example. We cannot say tadhubu or tadhibu because this is fixed. This is sima'i. It is like that, and you always have to say tadhabu and not tadhubu and tadhibu. However, having said that, we would say that if you said tadhubu or tadhibu, the Arabs would understand it, inshallah ta'ala. It's just that it's not proper Arabic, okay? But it is mafhum. It's just like someone who speaks broken English or broken Malay. you know, if you speak broken English and like many Singaporeans do, he got this one, or, you know, so like, you know, that an American speaker would probably take some time, but eventually he will come to understand that you have something, you know. So you didn't say that you had in your possession something, but you say, I got, you know, so that's how people actually eventually figure it out. Okay. So, so for the feminine pronoun, when we want to make it into a madi, so this is, we're talking about feminine singular third person. We want to make it, we want to express it, you know, we would have to add a ta here. Okay. And this ta is called ta ta'nith. Okay. Because it shows you that we are talking about a woman and not a man. Okay. Right. So for the mudari, you know, when, so the mudari refers to the present tense. So for the mudari, when we want to say she goes, okay, we have to put something called a harf al-mudara'a. Okay. Okay. And you have to remember this about the fi'il mudari. Okay. The fi'il mudari will always have a mudara'a attached to it. So it will always be in the visual form. How you see it, you will always see it with the original madi. Okay. So just the huruf, okay, from the original madi plus a mudara'a at the beginning. So the mudara'a are letters, okay, alphabets that we attach to the beginning of a fi'il to show the pronoun that this fi'il that we're talking about relates to. Okay. So when it's a he, we would add a ya. And like I said, this is the asal. Okay. The original, the origins of it. Al-asal is like this. Okay. Dhahaba yadhabu. But this is still a mudara'ah. Okay. This is still a mudara'ah because it comes in addition to the original, which was expressed in the madi. Okay. So we call these letters huruf mudara'ah, and there are only 4 of them. And inshallah ta'ala, we will use all 4 of them in today's demonstration. So they are anaitu. Okay. We call it anaitu because, okay, and this word doesn't mean anything. Okay. It's just a way of expressing the how, you know, simplifying it, putting it into like something like an acronym, you know. So it is either an alif, okay, or a hamza, a nun, a ya, or a ta. So in this case, the mudara'ah here is a ya. Okay. And in this case, for the feminine, we've added a ta. So that is the mudara'ah. Okay. So as we go along, of course, I will stop telling you about the mudara'ah. And whenever I say mudara'ah, I hope you can relate to it and you can immediately, you know, visualize that, oh, I'm talking about the additional alphabets that are put in at the beginning of any fi'il that is mudari to show you or to indicate to you which pronoun we are talking about. Okay. So for the singular male, we would have said dhahaba yadhabu. And for the singular female, in third person, we would have said dhahabat tadhabu. Okay. Dhahabat tadhabu. Right. Okay. So how would we express going? You know, did you go somewhere? Have you gone somewhere? How would we express it when we are talking to someone? Okay, the muhatab. So in a second person voice, how would we express it? So we would say, okay. Oh no, haven't added that. Okay. Dhahabta. Okay, so we would say anta dhahabta. If I said that you went somewhere, I would have said dhahabta ila suki. Okay, you went to the market. So that's how I would say it to the mukhatab, to someone who is right in front of me. That is how I would express it. Okay, and for the present tense form, I would say tadhabu. Okay. So if you are going to the market, so and you ask me where we going, I would tell you anta tadhabu ila suki. Now you are going to the market. Okay, you are going to the market. So I would have to say tadhabu. And you would notice, of course, that the mudara'ah that we have added here is exactly the same as the hiya form. And this is not a mistake. It is actually like that. So the tadhabu can mean she is going, or it could mean if I'm speaking to you, I would say tadhabu, meaning you are going. Okay. How would we differentiate between the two? We would differentiate it in the context. So these are just some peculiarities of the Arabic language that you just have to get used to, because this is how the Arabs express themselves. Okay. In the Madi, it changes, but in the Mudari, it's exactly the same form. Okay. So if I'm saying here, I would say dhahabat. When I'm saying anta, I would say dhahabta. But when I'm saying she goes, okay, I would say hiya tadhabu. And when I say you go, I would say anta tadhabu. Exactly the same pronunciation, but it means two different things. Okay, so this is some peculiarity about the Arabic language that you just have to get used to. And it's no different from, read, write, and we have words that sound similar to each other, like WRITE, rights, and RITE. They are both rights, but they mean two different things, so it's just something that you just have to get used to. And as you get accustomed to the language, you will know the context, and then you will know where it belongs to. Okay, right. And when we're reading books, sometimes we just have to look for the pronoun that it relates to. Then we say, this one means here, this one means anta. Okay, it's just like that. Right. Okay, so for auntie, so if I'm talking about or I'm talking to a female who's going somewhere, I would say dhahabti. Okay, anti dhahabti ila suq. You went to the market. So I would say dhahabti, and inshallah ta'ala, these two are quite easy to remember. Okay, anta dhahabta, anti dhahabti. Okay, so just draw them back to the shakal for these pronouns. Okay, then inshallah ta'ala, it's easy for you to remember. Okay, but what about in the present tense form? I'm saying that you are going. I'm talking to a girl now. Auntie, how would I say? You are going. So this one, okay, just pay attention here. So this one, you would have to express it like this. Okay, tadhabina. Okay, auntie tadha. This is a bina. Tadhabina. Auntie tadhabina ila suki. So you are going to the market. So that's how I would say it. So there are additions here, okay? And the additions come at the back, the ya wa nun. Every time, okay, you are using anti. So for whatever fi'il, if it's not dhahaba, you're using it for dakhala, dakhala yadkhulu. So I would say tadkhulina, anti tadkhulina. Okay, so we will always add this on top of the mudara'a. And these are not known as mudara'a, okay? They are just suffixes to words, and they point to, or rather they make a distinction, between the mudhakkar and the muannath. Okay, so the ya here actually relates to the muhatab, which is muannatha. Okay, the second person who is actually a female. Okay, so that's the function of it. Okay, so inshallah ta'ala, we will learn about it. So that's the function of the ya. Okay, and ana and nahnu, Okay, moving on to ana and nahnu. This is much easier than the others. Okay, so ana. Okay, so if I'm talking about myself and I went to the souk, to the market, I would say ana dhahabtu. Okay, ana dhahabtu. So you would notice that this the shakal, okay, there's still an addition of a ta. Okay, here. Thank you, Shanawas. Okay. Okay, there's still the addition of the ta, but the shakal change. Okay, when it's ana, I would have to say as ana. I would say it as ana dhahabtu. Okay, the ta here refers to the ta of the mutakallim, the person who is speaking. Okay, type. So thank you, Shanawas. Let me just write that again then. Tadhabina. Okay, tadhabina. Okay, type. So ana dhahabtu, and then for the nahnu, also very simple. I would have said, okay, for us, we went somewhere. I would say dhahabna. Nahnu dhahabna. So for the nahnu, okay, for us in plural, okay, speaker's voice in plural, I would add not a ta but a nun here. Right? Okay. So now for the present tense, how would I say it? This is also very easy because you remember ana, alif, nahnu, nun. So I would say I am going. I would say ana adhabu. Okay, I'm going somewhere. And nahnu, we would say nadhabu. Okay. And the mudara'ah that relates to ana and nahnu, they are unique because nowhere else, in no other pronoun, we use the alif and the nun mudara'ah except for ana and nahnu. So it's very easy to remember. Ana adhabu, nahnu nadhabu. Whereas for the huwa, hiya, the anta and the anti, sometimes we would use ya and sometimes we would use ta. Okay. So when we expand it, you will see that the choices, whether to put a ya and a ta, they come in different forms, depending on which pronoun you're actually using. But for ana and nahnu, very simple, straightforward. Ana adhabu, nahnu nadhabu. Okay? Taib. So this is for dhahaba yadhabu. Let me just do a time check for now. Okay. Any questions?
Tak ada soalan, Ustaz.
Fadal.
For ana nahnu, is there a difference in muzakkar and muannas?
No, there's no difference.
So
The mutakallim, there's no difference. So ana would be just it would apply. So whether the speaker is a male or female, he or she would still use ana. And for if you are talking about yourself or yourselves in jamak form, you would just say nahnu. Even if you're all girls, Okay. Yeah. They may make some distinctions, but these are colloquial things. Like, for example, in Hadramaut, when a woman is speaking, she won't refer to herself as Ana, but she will refer to herself as Ane. But this doesn't appear in the Arabic, in the standard Arabic, except in certain parts of the Quran, because you can't really get that ne sound because it's between a fatha and a kasra, so you would do something that we call imla'a. So you would, that where you see it in Bismillahi majreha. So it's a little bit like that. Okay, but no, in standard Arabic, ana for men and for women. Okay, when you're speaking in the speaker's voice, you would just say ana. Right? Okay, any other questions before we move on?
Ustaz, jadi sama macam ana dengan anta dengan ente. Kira tu imalah jugalah.
Yes, correct.
Ente, okay.
Yeah. And by the way, since you mentioned ente, it's actually considered to be not good adab for you to speak to someone who is more senior than you, like a teacher or an elder brother, to say instead. That they would use antum. Okay, so the jama is always more polite to use, because it doesn't mean jama in the plural sense, but it means aggrandizing the person that you are speaking to, you know, just honoring him by saying antum. For friends, when you're talking to friends, you say ana inte, not a problem. But for when you're talking to teachers, you should use antum. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, I was okay, so never mind. We have another two verb forms, which is fa'ala yaf'ulu and fa'ala yaf'ilu, which inshallah ta'ala we will leave it till next week, and next week inshallah ta'ala I will cover these two verbs so that we can move a little bit faster. Today I just went a little bit slower, and you know, I recapped everything so that inshallah ta'ala you get to frame your mind to the objectives of this lesson. Okay. Right. If there are no other questions, then we'll move on to Medina Reader. Okay, so I've put my Medina Reader here as well. Just that I haven't subscribed. I will subscribe inshallah ta'ala because they are warning me again now. So I will subscribe inshallah ta'ala. Type. So we have yeah, so we'll do page. Do you all do the homework?
Yes. Anyway, Ustaz, you never not intend to use PDF eh? My wife kata pakai PDF aja lah.
Pakai PDF? Okay. Why?
Because it's free.
It's free, and then you can
Scribble
and doodle and
yeah, I'm thinking about that, but maybe I just use PDF. But that time, because you know why? Because the adult version, I told you right, for PDF I couldn't write on it. When I was using Adobe, I couldn't write on it. You know, because it was protected, password protected.
oh, that one is for adults.
For the adult version, that's why I said let's just use the junior version. You know, but then I realized that actually that yeah, actually it's you can write on it, but you have to use another app, and that's when I started using I think, what was it called, Collate Colon Notes or something like that. And then now I'm starting to use Notability, and I'm just thinking about it because actually it's quite good to use notes or to write notes with Notability. It's just that I've not mastered the the art of using it yet, so that will take time. Yeah, but yes,
Cannot scribble pakai ni.
this one can, the junior version can, but I couldn't do it on the adult version. So this one is okay now. But then the adult version, the one that I put up, which I originally said that actually we originally wanted to use the adult version, you know, the adult version is password protected, so you can't even scribble like this on PDF. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Right. So you all did the homework. Okay, so maybe I should ask, okay, anybody didn't do the homework? You have to take your leave. Okay, Fadlan. Okay, listen, catch up with the lessons when you can. Okay? Listen to the recordings, I'll put it up. Right. Okay. So anyway, okay, you should do the homework. Shouldn't skip your homework. You should also participate in the midweek review. When midweek I send you videos, watch it, do the exercises midweek, because if you leave your study of Arabic for too long, and then you won't be able to develop your the cognitive part, in tuning your mind to the Arabic language. So you should do it, but I would just leave it to you to do it. Submitting your homeworks are not compulsory, but if you want to and you want me to check, you can just send a screenshot or send a PDF to me, and I'll take a look at it. Okay. Right. So we stop here at the new vocabulary, the new words last week. Okay. And so we'll continue on from here, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. So we'll continue on from here. So we have this word here, najmun, okay? Or when we put the alif walam in front, so remember that this lesson is all about putting alif walam, and we call this alif walam ma'rifah, okay? Alif walam ma'rifah, lil ma'rifah, because when we say najmun, we are not referring to any specific star. The najm is a star, okay? We're not referring to any specific star, but when we say an-najmu, we are referring to a specific star. So remember that once we go into specifics, we call it al-ma'rifah, as opposed to something that is not specific, something that is ambiguous, we call it nakira. Okay, so for the ma'rifah, when we add alif walam, something else also happens to the word, and that is we stop using tanwin on the word. So it's no longer an-najmun, but we would say an-najmu. Okay, and then the other thing that we are supposed to pick up from this lesson is that when we add alif walam, it really depends on what word we are attaching that alif walam to, this alif walam for ma'rifah too. So if the word, it begins with a harf that is shamsiyah, okay, then we actually have to we would have to suppress the lam, okay, and then we go straight. That means we straight away make something called idkhal or idgham, yeah, from the alif to the noon, and then we would pronounce it that way. We would say an-najmu instead of saying al-najmu, okay, an-najmu. Right. And if it is Qamariya, certain words are just Qamariya because we know it, because we hear the Arabs pronounce it that way. So like for example, the ra, okay, because it's alif walam that's attached to a Qamariya, then we would say in the singular rajulun, which means a man, okay, rajulun, which is a man, okay. So sorry, when it is not singular, but when it is unknown, okay, we say rajulun. But when it is ma'rifah, when it is known, a specific man, we would say ar-rajulu, okay, ar-rajulu. So this is this is also al-shamsiyah, okay, this is also shamsiyah. So we would also make idgham of the alif and lam into the ra. So we would say ar-rajulu instead of saying al-rajulu, okay. And likewise, okay, the next one is also shamsiyah, okay. So they didn't put it here, they didn't distinguish it here. I think in the next lesson then it would be distinguished, sorry. Okay, so an-najmun an-najmu, najmun an-najmu, rajulun ar-rajulu. So dikun, we would pronounce it as ad-diku. Okay, talimun, we would pronounce it as at-talimun. Okay, so these are sentences, and remember that these are complete sentences, as we mentioned before, in mubtada khabar form. Okay, so we would say an-najmu ba'idun, which means that the star is far, okay, is a distance away. So remember what we talked about mubtada khabar. We say that if there is anything, from is, are, was, were to be inserted in between the two words, if you were to have said it in English, then it would be in this form. Okay, this is how you recognize a sentence as an English speaker in mubtada khabar form. An-najmu ba'idun. Okay, the star is far, so that is the missing word which doesn't appear in the Arabic language, but we know because it is mubtada khabar, so there is an is in between the two words. Okay, type ar-rajulu waqifun, the man is standing. Okay, and we'll just vocalize all this. I think I believe that we've gone through all the meanings of all these words. Okay, so we'll just go through it quickly. As-sukaru, as-sukaru hulwun, so the sugar is sweet. At-talibu maridun, the student is sick. Ad-diku jamilun, the rooster is beautiful. So the dik is a rooster, and it's not just any chicken. Dajaj is a chicken, but a dik refers to a male chicken. Okay, so a rooster. Ad-daftaru, so the daftar is a notebook. Okay, and it's not registering as it is in Malay, but it comes from the Arabic word. Okay, because maybe in the old days you would have a daftar, you know, to write or to register people into a class and so on. So maybe that's how we got or we started using the Arabic word in that manner. Okay, so ad-daftaru jadidun, it means that the notebook is new. So jadid is new. At-tajiru ghaniyun, so the trader or the businessman, ghaniyun is rich. Ad-dukanu maftuhun means that the shop is open. Okay. Al-waladu faqirun, it means that the boy is poor. So this is poor. Faqir is poor. At-tufahu ladhidun, the apple is delicious. Okay, so the tufah is an apple. Ladhid means delicious. So the Malay word ladhat actually comes from the Arabic ladhid. Okay, and moving on to number 11, at-tabibu tawilun. So this is an example of putting two sentences together into a single sentence. Okay, with an ataf, that means we put a waw here, which herein it means an. Okay, at-tabibu tawilun, the doctor is tall. So tawil means tall here. Wal mudarrisu qasirun, and the teacher, so the doctor is tall and the teacher is short. Okay, qasirun. Okay, taib. So the next exercise, ikra waktub. Okay, so remember that these are words in the command form, and we would identify it. You know, we would be able to identify it because it comes with hamzatul wasl and a sukun at the end. Okay, so we would pronounce it like that. Ikra waktub. Okay, ma'adabti awakhiril kalimat. Read and write each of the following words, vocalizing its last letter. So how would we say this? You know, we would say this al-babu. Okay, so this is the objective of this exercise, so that now you are tuning your mind that every time you see alif walam, the end shakal cannot be a tanwin. Okay, al-babu, at-tajiru, an-najmu, al-qamaru, ad-diku, al-ma'u, as-sariru, al-baytu, al-masjidu, ar-rajulu, as-sukaru, and al-waraku. Okay, which I think this one might be new. This means paper. Okay, sometimes it's leaf also, because it's just something that is flimsy like that. Okay, so they might use the same word. Just look at the sentence and try to figure out the context. Okay, so you can do this for homework, inshallah. Okay, imla al-faragha fima yali biwad'i kalimatin munasibatin. So fill in the blanks, okay, in each of the following sentences with a suitable word. So you can find a suitable word, you know, whatever you want to put here. So maybe, you know, you can figure out, just look at words, you know, and would al-babu fit into here, the door? Ghaniyun, rich, you know, does it fit? So it doesn't fit, you know. So if you find one that fits, you know, like maybe at-tajiru, this one might be a better fit. Okay, the businessman is rich. Okay, so you just do that exercise, and if you wish to, you can send it to me. Okay, and I'll take a look at it, inshallah. Right? And then you have to match the words, okay, appropriately. So this is no different from what you do in the English language. Okay, so you can look for words and find suitable matches for each of the words. So you wouldn't say something like al-hajaru ladhidun, you know. This is a no-no, because ladhid means delicious. So where would you match it with, you know? So you might match it with this, you know, at-tufah. So at-tufahu ladhidun. This makes more sense. Okay, so just match appropriately. Okay, and again, you can send me your work. You can take a photo of the work that you've done in your text, and then send it to me. Okay, and I'll take a look at it, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so these are some of the new words that we learned from this particular exercise. Okay, hulwu means sweet. Marid means sick or ill. Maridun. Okay. Ad-dukanu means the shop. Ghaniyun means rich. Tawilun means tall. Fagirun means poor. Qasirun means short. Okay. At-tufahu means apple. Okay. This is should be a wow here. And this is something interesting because the author actually has put this word tufa to mean apple, but I actually believe that apple is a tufaha. Tufaha, a tufahatu, this is an apple, and this is the word for apples. Okay, but however, from what I've noticed, the author has used it in the singular, so maybe there might be something that I missed out, you know. But as far as I know, when I looked at other books, you know, they say that tufaha is the singular and tufa is the plural. Okay, wallahu alam. So maybe that might be something peculiar for this word. Maybe it's a word that you can use it for singular and plural. I'll try to take a look and you know, we can discuss it later on. Okay, right. So this is where we discuss the huruf, which is known as Qamariya. The next lesson again, Qamariya and Shamsiya. Okay, so these are not names of people. Okay, but these are categories of alphabets, you know, and how they relate to the alif walam. Okay, so this is no different from tajweed. And I think most of you would already be familiar with it. You know how to read the Quran. Inshallah ta'ala, these things would be familiar to you. Okay, so there are words that are Qamariya. So that means when we say Qamariya, that means the lam actually has to be vocalized. Okay, the lam here actually has to be vocalized. But when we say that a word is Shamsiya, that means the lam here is not vocalized. Rather, we do something called idgham, which means that we will straight away, okay, enter from the, after the alif, we would straight away vocalize the ta, and we will neglect the lam. So for the word al-ab, okay, we would say al-ab, but for the word at-tajiru, we wouldn't say al-tajiru, but we would just say at-tajiru, okay? So this is an exhaustive list of the alphabets that are Qamariya and that are Shamsiya. So every time you see an alphabet that is Qamariya, you would have to vocalize the lam. But when you see an alphabet, you know, that's attached, you know, a word where the first alphabet is Shamsiya, you know, and you have an alif wal lam before it, preceding it as a prefix, then you would say not al-thawbu, but you would say at-thawbu. Okay, so that's how you would say it. So the whole objective of this exercise is just that, for you to identify the Qamariya and the Shamsiya. So inshallah ta'ala, I think all of you would have would already be familiar with it. This is not Illuminati. It's just actually to tell you about the eye. Okay, so the eye is there. Ainun, al-ainu. Okay, somewhere there. Yeah, al-ainu. Right. Okay. Any questions? Anybody needs help with the Qamariya and the Shamsiya? No? Okay, if you do need help, you can ping me and inshallah ta'ala we'll go through it. Okay, so these are all words. Okay. Okay, so the objective of this exercise is for you to identify which words they start with Qamariya letters and which word they start with the Shamsiya letters, and then you should vocalize them accordingly. Okay. Whilst we go through it, I think it's worthwhile to just take note that there are new words in here. Al-Bait, you would know. Al-Dik, you would know. Al-Mudarris, you would know. Al-Bab, you would know. Al-Talim, you would know. Al-Sukar, you would know. Al-Daftar, we went through it. Al-Akh means brother. Okay. So just take note, this is a new word. Ar-Rasul means the messenger. Inshallah ta'ala, all of us know this. Al-Wajh, okay, it's the same as Malay. It means face. Okay. As-Sadiq means friend. Al-Quran is Al-Quran. As-Salah is As-Salah. Okay. Al-Ka'bah, inshallah ta'ala, all of you know. Ar-Ra's means the head. Okay, so this is Shamsiya. Al-Isba'u, it means fingers. Okay, the fingers are the isba'. Okay, Sobun is the same as Malay, it means soap. Okay, so fingers. Oh, it just moved there. Okay. Okay. Sabun is soap, so it's the same as Malay. Al-Dhufru, this means nail. Okay, it means a nail. This is interesting because actually they actually put a picture of a nail here. Okay, and as far as I know, okay, this nail is the nail that is on our hands. Okay, and not this nail. And I don't know why they've used this. So maybe I'll just take a look at it, because there's another Arabic word for nail that we use in Hadramaut, but it's okay. Maybe there's some peculiarity there. Okay. Al-Fajr, these are all times for Salat. So inshallah ta'ala, you know all this. Okay, until here. Okay. So let's just go through the book. Okay. So the author, he says, this lesson we learn the use of the Arabic definite article, the al, okay, or alif wal lam. We say alif wal lam, and I sometimes use the word alif wal lam ma'rifah, because this is alif wal lam to show a specific thing. Okay, ma'rifah, that means it's a known thing. Okay, which corresponds to the English the. So it does correspond to the in some sense. Okay, some other sense it doesn't. Okay, when the definite article al or alif wal lam is prefixed to a noun, naturally the indefinite article, the N sound is dropped. That means the tanwin is dropped. Okay. So for example, he shows here the example, baitun. This is a non-particular, just any random house would be baitun, any house. But when you're talking about a specific house, you put the definite article, the alif wal lam, in front as a prefix, and then you make it into al-baytu. You would pronounce al-baytu, and you would drop the tanwin. Okay, you would drop the tanwin from here, and you would just use a singular dhamma here. So it becomes al-baytu. Okay, so Arabic has 28 letters. Of these, okay, 14 are called solar letters or sun letters, and the other 14 are called lunar letters. So the Shamsiya are the sun letters. Okay, the Shams is the sun. Okay, when we say Shamsiya, we mean the sun-ish. Okay, so sun-ish, it's not really, doesn't really have anything to do with the sun, except that it's just easy for identification. When we say Ashams, then we would remember Ashams. Oh yes, because we do idgham, so it is a Shamsiya. Okay, and likewise, okay, the other 14 are called lunar letters or moon letters. So the Qamar is the moon. So when we say Qamariya, we mean moon-ish. Okay, moonish. Okay, so these are moonish letters. Okay, so why? Because when we say al-qamar, we cannot say ak-qamar. Okay, we would say al-qamar. So we vocalize the lam there. So we call this lunar letters or shams qamariya. Okay, in the articulation of the solar letters, the tip of the or the blade of the tongue is involved, as in T, N, R, S, etc. Okay, so this is how the Arabs, they came with the concept of the Shamsiya and the Qamariya. You know, this is how their thought processes works. You know, if you are pronouncing a letter where you will use the tip of the tongue, then it would become Shamsiya. Okay, the tip or the blade of the tongue does not play any part in the articulation of lunar letters, like as in B, W, M, K. So okay, so then you would use the Qamariya. Okay, so this is just a technicality, and it's the same technicality that we go through in Tajweed. Okay, when al is prefixed to a noun beginning with the solar letter, the lam or the L of al of alif walam, it is assimilated. Okay, so this is the process which we call idgham, okay, into the solar letter, the Shamsiya. So example, Ashams, the sun, is pronounced as Ashamsu, not Al-Shamsu. Okay, no change takes place in writing Ashamsu. The assimilation is indicated by the shadda on the first letter of the noun. Okay, so typically we would do this instead of putting a sukun there. Okay, no such assimilation takes place with the lunar letters. Al-Qamaru, the moon, is pronounced Al-Qamaru. So that's how we do it. Okay, here are some letters. Okay, some more examples of assimilation of the lam of alif walam into the solar letters. Okay, so you can go through that yourself. Okay, see the tables. Okay, so you can refer to the table for the Shamsiya and the Qamariya. Okay, I think he's referring to this one, so you can just go through that table there. Okay, so okay, note that the okay, of alif walam is pronounced only when it is not preceded by another word. So inshallah ta'ala, for those of us who have learned tajweed, we will know that this alif walam, okay, alif walam, it comes with something that we call hamzatul wasl. Okay, and it is, so this is not just unique to alif walam, this is any word that has hamzatul wasl. Okay, this is how we would do it. You know, if it is preceded by a word, then it is dropped in pronunciation, so it remains in writing. Example, when we say al-baytu. Okay, so al-baytu, okay, al-baytu is, and but if it is preceded by a wa, yeah, meaning and, the is dropped and the phrase is pronounced wal baytu. So we would just say wal baytu. We would just drop this, and then we would straight away go into the lam, wal baytu. Okay, and the phrase is pronounced wal baytu and not wa al baytu. Okay, and to indicate this omission, this sign, the alif is placed above the hamza. Okay, the hamza, the alif is placed above the hamza, so that hamza is called what? Hamzatul wasl. Okay, hamzatul wasl. Right. So it becomes just like this. Okay, wal baytu. Okay, And we do that also ikra waktub just now. Waktub. Okay. Okay, so we just do waktub. Okay, so we just do waktub instead of wal uktub or wa uktub. So the initial vowel a, I, or u is omitted, which is omitted when preceded by a word called hamzatul wasl. The door is open. Al babu maftuhun. Okay. The initial vowel which is omitted when preceded by a word is called hamzatul wasl. Okay, we talked about that. Okay. Al babu maftuhun. Al qalamu maksurun. The door is open. The pen is broken. Okay. So we have learned that the tanwin is the definite article, okay, is the indefinite article, and is to be translated as a. So we would say a house. Baitun is a house. It doesn't refer to any particular house. This does not apply to adjectives like maftuh and maksur, okay, open and broken. So when we were using mubtada khabar, so these are some adjectives, yeah. So like, let's say when we were using the mubtada khabar, we said, let's say we use some word, like, let's put the word like here, qadimun, okay. So let's say I say al baitu qadimun. Sorry, this is not here. Qadimun, okay. Al baitu qadimun, the house is old, okay. The house is old. So it doesn't, you don't translate it as the house is a old or an old, you know. Here you just say the house is old, okay, because it doesn't apply to adjectives, okay, because adjectives, we're not asking you to identify whether it's specifics or whether it's something that's ambiguous. We are attaching it to a particular house, okay. So it is actually a sifat that we are attaching to a particular house. So we don't say al-baytu al-qadim, because remember, we mentioned it a little bit last week, I think. I might have mentioned it in this class. When we say al-baytul qadim, it means it becomes a phrase, the old house. But we're not going to say the old house. We don't intend to say the old house. We intend to say that the house is old. So we turn it into mubtada khabar form. And this is how it happens. Al-baytu qadimun. Here, it does not mean or an old, okay, because these are adjectives. Rather that these are just descriptions, a khabar of the mubtada, okay, a khabar of the subject, okay, a predicate of the subject. So it is just to describe that house to you. So we would say this house is old, and we would not say that the house is an old or a old, okay. So that's just an example that they're trying to make. These are some vocabulary. Memorize it. And then, inshallah ta'ala, next week we'll go through lesson 4. Wallahu a'lam bis-shawab. Okay. Questions? Fadal.
Ustaz, yang qadim tu kan, yang old. Kalau nak cakap saya old, I am old.
Yeah.
Is it like just put ana qadim?
Yes, correct. You would actually say that, okay? So you would actually say something like that. You would say ana, okay, qadimun. So you would actually say something like that. Ana qadimun. I'm old. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm new. Ana jadidun. So this is still mubtada khabar. Okay? Ana is the mubtada. The khabar is qadim. Ana saghir. I'm small. Okay? So you would actually say it like that. Good question. Any other questions?
Ya, ada sambungannya. Jadi kalau macam al-baitu qadimun, so mubtada khabar ni is actually tak ada fi'il pun, right? It's noun and noun.
Sorry again?
So this the sentence when we make sentence via this mubtada khabar is actually a noun and a noun. Fi'il pun.
Ya, tak ada fi'il.
Oh, okay. I just found out lah.
And in fact, predominantly, you see that Arabs in their speech, they will use mubtada khabar more often than they will use a fi'il in their speech, you know. And it is something that you learn to pick up over time and to speak in that manner. Instead of saying nahnu nakhruju min al madrasa, they would say nahnu kharijun. Kharijun lil madrasa. So they would actually say it like that. That apa tu kharijina. They would actually say it like that, and people will know that actually it means nakhruju. Okay. So yes, we don't use it, and it doesn't appear in the first 4 lessons of the book, and it first appears, if I'm not wrong, in lesson 5, I think. In lesson 5, then we will have what do you call that? Sentences. Is this lesson 5 or 4? Oh, this is lesson 4. Okay. So in the next lesson, then we will start using what do you call that? Jumlah fi'liyah. So we will start using the fi'l in the next lesson. Okay. Then we get this. Right? Then we will start constructing sentences with fi'l. Okay, so we are actually a little bit behind in terms of our saraf, but it's okay. Okay, since this is a small class, you know, we'll try to get everyone up to speed so that inshallah ta'ala you will understand all the sentences in this book. Okay. Questions? No questions? Now I have a question for you. How do I erase all this? Can I just, is there a function where actually I can just not save all the things that I do, or do I have to undo or erase one by one? Anybody knows? Tak ada, tak tahu.
Ana tak tahu lah, Ustaz, tapi Ana pernah pakai macam gini kan. And then what happened was that when I close it, when I open back, the scribbling is still there tau.
The scribbling is there, that's why. I said, how do can I just like remove everything so that actually for another class I get a brand new one? No.
Kalau nak, you tekan the back button all the way lah sampai habis lah. Atau you pakai erase, you erase lah the whole thing.
Okay.
That's
Okay, I think that this is the benefit of using what do you call that, a tool like Notability, because I actually will import the PDF, and then when I write, so if I'm using it for another class, I can just import it again, the original PDF, and I write, so it doesn't affect the next class. I think this is the benefit of using a tool like that. I think so. Yeah. Right now, Mas. Betul.
Ustaz, in fact, kalau Notability, I don't know if this PDF thing has this function, tapi Notability has that laser pointer thingy. So
laser pointer. Which is a laser pointer?
You see the one third from the right, third from the where you just sebelah tangan tu. There's one more.
Is this the one? This thing?
Yes.
This is a laser pointer. So what do you do with the laser pointer? So I just point like this instead of.
You can actually change the laser pointer to have like a line effect gitu. You click on the laser pointer lagi yang ke atas. Tail.
Oh.
So this is my favorite tool. Sorry. I don't get any commission from Notability, but
Okay.
I've enjoyed using it for.
Okay. I'm gonna play with it after this. Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that box thingy pun you boleh macam copy and paste images, things like that.
Is it?
You can copy and then you can paste it somewhere else.
But within notability lah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, boleh insyaAllah. These are actually brilliant tools, but it just that you need time to pick it up. Okay. Questions?
Ustaz, so macam for instance, kalau kita cakap at-tajiru, so macam for instance macam zahabat tajiru and zahabat tajirun, that part where the ba and the ta meets each other will be the same lah. Tapi kalau kita cakap zahabal madrasatu and zahaba madrasatun, macam you get my point?
Yeah.
The alif lam and the non alif lam, there'll be a bit of a difference.
Yeah. So jadi kan, let's just use something that I'm already comfortable using. Free tool called freeform. Okay. So it's a good question. Okay. So jadi let's say kan, if I'm saying, okay. So tadi kan kita ada this, kan, zahaba means to go kan. Kan. So let's say zahaba at-tajiru. At-tajiru ila suki. Okay. Ila suki. So I would say zahabat tajiru. So this one idgham terus. Okay, idgham terus. So just now the example that we gave was a wow, and but it doesn't have to be a wow. Any any huruf that comes that precedes it, you know, we would just make idgham with the alif lam, which means a shamsiyah. So we would just idghamkan dua-dua, and we would say zahabat tajiru ila suki. Okay. That's how we would say it. And if let's say it was a female, okay, so just now we learned this kan, kalau perempuan dia jadi apa? Zahabat kan. Zahabat at-tajiratu. Okay. At-tajiratu. So in this case, okay, because the what precedes it is actually a sukun, so we can't it doesn't work when there are two this is a pseudo sukun here, so it doesn't work, okay, when you have when you have the shamsiyah preceded by a sukun. So what do you do? And this one we do it exactly this way in tajweed as well. We would put a kasrah here, so we would say zahabatit tajiratu. Okay, zahabatit tajiratu. So we would say the tajira, okay, the female businessman, the female trader, okay, the female trader, zahabatit tajiratu ila suki. So we would say that actually she went to the souk. That is how we would pronounce it. And this is actually quite difficult. It's difficult even for me to pronounce, you know. So sometimes when I read words and I come across words like this, sometimes I may even pause, okay, zahabat at-tajiratu ila suki. Because for the Ajam, non-Arabs, this makes more sense, you know. But if you're an eloquent Arab, then you would say zahabatit tajiratu, okay, and that's the best way to put it across. Yeah. Wallahu a'lam. Is this what you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I was just commenting on the difference between Shamsia and the Qamariya. For the Qamariya, it will be zahabatil mudarisatu or something like that.
Yeah. So we would do like something like this. Okay. So we would do zahabatil mudarrisatu. Okay. Zahabatil mudarrisatu al-mudarrisa. So zahabatil mudarrisatu, and this is so much easier to pronounce as compared to the first one, you know. Zahabatil mudarrisatu ila suki. Yeah. Okay. Questions? And of course, when you see this, yeah, you know that this is not, we're not referring to the pronoun anti, okay? We are referring to the pronoun here and not anti, okay? Because this is not dhahabti, okay? This is dhahabat, okay? So this one is something that is arid, that means it comes from somewhere else, and then it's just put here because that's how the Arabs would have pronounced it when it meets with an alif lam ma'rifah. Okay. Questions? Thank you, Shanawas, for pointing this out. Questions?
Ustaz, sorry, one last question. Macam like tadi kita buat pasal nazhabu, is it? Wait, so kalau plural is nazhabu kan? No, that's mudhari.
Yang apa tu, okay, the mudhari for apa tu jamak, mutakallim jamak, yes, we would say nadhab, nadhabu, yeah.
Kalau fi'il madi, zahabu kan?
Dhahabna.
Zahabna, sorry.
Mutakallim.
Zahabna. So, but in this kind of sentences ni macam, is it, I noticed that they still use zahabna instead of that.
Sorry again?
Is it a case where macam kadang-kadang the verb is, it doesn't change to that plural form? Or is it we are still supposed to?
Okay. Ini the advanced sikit your
Yeah, okay.
question.
No worries,
Your question, okay. But you know that in Arabic kan jumlah fi'liyah we have this peculiarity, you know, and I don't know if it appears in any other language or in fact in any other Semitic language. It might appear, but I don't know, you know. But apparently in the Arabic language, okay, when you use the fi'l first, okay, that means actually in the form of jumlah fi'liyah, okay, then you can neglect the the adats, that means the number of people, you know. So you can just use it in the singular even though you're referring to the plural, even though you're referring to the dual, okay. But it doesn't work when you use the fi'l after the fa'il.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way because actually it becomes mubtada khabar as well. It's just that you have to make takdir over the khabar because it becomes a sentence. So I think maybe you might have learned this in Nahu with Ustad Ismail Laham. So that one, you know, the khabar, it becomes khabar jumlah. So that means there's a sentence within a sentence. Then that one you have to do it. You have to do, you know, you have to actually use the correct pronoun for depending on the number of people that you're referring to. Yeah, this is a peculiarity, but this is actually I think maybe we only come across this towards the end of book 2 from Makina Reader. Afwan.
Sorry, sorry.
Yeah. So yes, that is the case. But for now, tak ada. Even you look at the whole of book 1, all the jumlah fi'liyah, it's all singular je.
Okay.
You know, because they actually arrange it in such a way that you don't have to use that form. This is the problem with the Arabic language. It's not a problem lah. Actually, it's you know, it's just a problem with us learning the Arabic language. It's just that, you know, we think about 10 things that we want to say in the Arabic language, but we realize that we don't have the vocabulary or the linguistic skills to actually put that sentence together, because that one, the lesson will come later on. That one, the lesson will come, you know. Yeah, so that's why. Okay.
Thank you,
Afwan. I think someone else dropped out also. So, okay. If there are no other questions, inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here. We'll recite Al-Fatiha. We ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to give us openings in the Arabic language so that we'll be able to understand it. Okay, so again, we ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to give us patience, to study the language, because it does require a lot of patience, and sometimes you are just so eager to get to the end. And, like I said in previous lessons, just trust the process and just go through it, inshallah ta'ala. By the time you reach book 2, towards the end of book 2, you will see some fruits from it, and then inshallah ta'ala you'll be able to read some books and you'll be able to understand the books. Okay, so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for openings ala hadhihi wa ala kulli niyatin salihah ma'al lutfin wa afiyah yusli sya'naka la zahiran batinan la hadratin nabi sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-Fatiha. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. ربنا تقبل منا دعانا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. دعواهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحياتهم فيها سلام وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. إن شاء الله تعالى we'll see you next week. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Syukran Ustaz.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
عفوا.